the rear side of the casino. So the ARB did recommend approval to you all with a few conditions, one of those being that the floodgate use this color, Nauticus blue. It's the color that's already on the floodgate down at the Nauticus Museum. And they're recommending only this color be used for floodgates, primarily for signaling reasons throughout Phase 1A. This doesn't preclude different colors in later phases, but for this first phase, have all the gates be the same color. There was concern that had been voiced at the June 9th meeting by the ARB that using a single pattern was making the wall feel very big and monolithic. And so the ARB did ask for the Army Corps of Engineers to go back and study what other possibilities there might be. So they came back on the 23rd with these 5 variations. There can be, and this here is just showing 2 of the most common lengths of wall. So they come in like 56-foot lengths, 48-foot lengths for how they actually construct the concrete. The board is recommending that variation D be used. This one read the most clearly from different scales while providing opportunities to break the pattern. So visually it interrupts and it doesn't feel like one long unending wall. So what they are recommending to you all today is that variation D be used in Phase 1A. So just to summarize, this is the recommendation from ARB and again, that final wall texture is what they brought back on June 23rd. With the provision that's appropriate widths of that smooth area be planned throughout that length for public art. So they're typically 8 foot. There are opportunities for 16 feet for substantial murals. Additionally, that the final design for the pump stations be reviewed to the ARB. The floodgates shall be Nauticus blue, and that maximum lighting temperature of 2,700 Kelvin is recommended. That was in response to some comments that were made by Citizens for Responsible Lighting. Do you all have any questions for me about the ARB's recommendation? Mike Anaya is also here from the Office of Resilience.
Any questions? Did we have pictures of the lights?
I do not have them here, but they are going to be the
standard lighting that's along the Elizabeth River Trail. Is that the Elizabeth River Trail lighting is going to be what's planned, and the lighting that's down at Waterfront?
So we've.
If you wouldn't mind, if you come just so the people at home can hear.
We have worked with the General Services Department to determine, since these will be city-owned, operated, and maintained lights,
we've spoken with them about, their concerns with installing lighting along this stretch of the flood wall. Got their preference sort of nailed down. We have product spec sheets. The light fixture that they prefer to use now is currently installed behind Dominion Tower along the promenade, along the river. And they would like to use those with the poles that are currently used down in Town Point Park. So it'd be a combination of those. They like those because the hardware is pretty easily, it installs right on top of the pole fairly simply. If one goes bad, they can swap it out really easily. They're cost effective and they are also pretty readily available. So that's the main reason why we've chosen that to go with. And, with the Citizens for Responsible Lighting raising concerns about other lighting projects, we've kind of taken some of their recommended best practices and incorporated them into what we intend to install along the Elizabeth River Trail in Phase 1A.
I ask that because the durability of these lights, they're all peeling. I see those along the trail and waterfront a lot, so I just was curious about.
You said they were peeling?
Yeah. The paint is peeling off them.
So we do have that in mind, the materials that we use. We want to make sure that they're like corrosion resistance because of the salt air environment, or powder coated finish that's not gonna.
Right. So I would like either that they're more durable or that there's a plan to maintain them.
Okay. I think we will be speccing aluminum fixtures, which holds up well in a sort of salty air environment.
Good.
I have a question. So I know this is just the flood wall component project incorporating the walkway. I know the casino has its own plans up to this. Is there any plans in the future about how to take advantage of the waterfront I know at one point there was a marina and other things happening. Does this allow for that in the future potentially, to have access to the waterfront?
Take it, Mike, if you want, or if you,
Oh, if you'd like to speak to it first, go ahead.
just on this one. The flood wall design now has access to the finger pier, that's existing on the site. That was a change that the resilience office made at the request of the manager's office to ensure we don't lose that.
Okay.
So, that has been added into this design.
We've added an additional gate behind the casino site, kind of east of the rear property line of the casino site. That'll provide access for maintenance and other things if there's additional shoreline activity out there.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? The other design review item that we have for you is a pump station 65 at Kempsville Road. This is at the terminus of Kempsville, where it intersects with Center Drive. So currently, it is one of our small pump station buildings. There is some equipment above grade behind it, but it is not able to keep up with the capacity demands that it needs to have. So there are renovation plans to rework the site. So the building will go away, and what will come back is an electrical hood and some above grade pump equipment, and there will be a substantial amount of below grade equipment. There is that existing driveway, as you saw. I was almost out in traffic when I went to go take those pictures, so they are deepening that driveway and adding some additional impervious cover there. The applicant had provided this rendering here on the left. This was the initial plan chain link for security reasons, but what they came back with was what you see on the right, which is installed down at St. Paul's. This is the type that they will be going with. It will further shield the station from view. A new fence was just put in at the school next door that's also black aluminum metal. So that's what will be going in here is a privacy style slat fence, black aluminum metal. So the ARB did recommend the unanimous vote of 9-0 approval of this item as it meets the design standards and recommendations. Do you have any questions about this item? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. First item on the consent agenda is Southern Dodge
Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Norfolk at 3301 North Military Highway. This is on the northwest corner of Military Highway and Cross Street. It's located next door to the Southern Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Norfolk on the other side of the street. And the proposal is to allow this site to sell automobiles and repair automobiles. The use is consistent with Plan Norfolk 2030, which designates the site as commercial. Property is on CC Community Commercial. In this district and everywhere else in the city, you need a conditional use permit for automobile sales or automobile repair and maintenance minor. Here's a picture of the site. This was before it was before it was used by this before it was purchased and intended to be taken over by the operator. The current CUP that governs the site, or special exception, was restricted to automobile sales for handicap accessible vehicles, mostly vans, and there were a number of conditions that governed the site that went with that site. So this applicant is looking to put the more standard conditions that we have in there now to govern this site. So they're looking, current special exception allows 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. It's proposed to be open from 7 to 9 Monday through Friday, 7 to 7 on Saturday, and 11 to 6 on Sunday. Staff is recommending approval. The use aligns with Plan Norfolk 2030 and surrounded by similar uses. They operate the dealership next door without issue. We do have 2 conditions in there. Only 8 vehicles can be parked between the building and North Military Highway. As you can kind of see in that picture, there's not really a whole lot of accessible room there. And the existing landscaping from the previous special exception needs to be maintained.
Thank you, Rob. Any questions?
And our next item on the consent agenda, this is for 2032 East Ocean View Avenue. They're requesting to renew the conditional use permit
that they have to operate a vacation rental.
This property is a 3-unit condo on the north side of Ocean View Avenue between Inlet Road and First Bay Street in the Cottage Line. Does not conflict with Plan for 2030, which designates the site as residential mixed. There is a portion in the rear that is designated open space and recreation. Property is zoned RC. In RC, all vacation rentals on properties with 3 or more units need a CUP to operate. And then the rear portion is zoned OSD. Here we see the site for the short-term rental. Nothing has changed since the previous approval. We're not requesting any additional improvements. The applicant does only utilize unit number 3 as a short-term rental, although all 3 units are authorized by the CUP. The applicant lives nearby, self-manages the property, and plans to continue those operations. We have received no complaints and no violations issued to the property. For the neighborhood analysis, within 500 feet, approximately 59% of residential parcels and 22% of residential units are single family. All inclusive, if this application is approved, nothing would change as far as density. It is currently approximately 8% of residential parcels and 5.8% of units within 500 feet as part of the units. Staff is recommending approval subject to conditions in the staff report along with a 5-year expiration.
Any questions for us? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. You've seen this one a few times as it went through the initiation process. So this is amendment to the zoning ordinance to the performance standards for auto sales and auto repair minor and auto repair major to reduce the minimum lot width for those operations that are working with motorcycles and similar smaller vehicles. Again, the request was to consider whether the performance standards could allow for smaller for just those situations. We've talked in the past, I can just go through this quickly. The current standards date back to 2014. And they, right now we have a 20,000 square foot minimum area and a 100-foot minimum lot width for anybody wanting to establish one of these uses. And so the proposed amendment would reduce that width down to 5,000 square feet and 50 feet of lot width, still requiring conditional use permit, just like any of these would require. Where they're working with exclusively motorcycles, motor-driven cycles, mopeds, or autocycles. And again, ask me what those are, and I probably can't explain what the difference between them is, but they are all defined in state code. So that is the request before you. If you recall in our earlier discussions, this somewhat came out of a specific site that we haven't gone in because this is general citywide, that we haven't gone into the details of that specific site. I understand the representative for the operator at that site is planning on being here today to speak presumably in favor of this amendment. And so if you have any questions about how something like this might operate, that could be an opportunity for you. But beyond that, I'm just standing by here for any questions.
Did you tell us this before, there are other communities consistent with this lot size around us, surrounding communities?
I don't know that I've evaluated their minimum standards. I don't recall coming across communities that had this minimum standard, but I was able to identify other communities that had existing operations. That was research we were able to do, is find operations that were on these smaller sizes that appeared to be operating in good working order.
All right, thank you.
The next item on the agenda is Mudslingers, Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee, conditional use permit 1819 East Little Creek Road. This is on the south side of East Little Creek in the Wedgwood Shopping Plaza. It's currently operating as a parking lot, and the proposal is to allow the construction of a coffee shop with a drive-thru. This is went off in 2030, which designates the site as commercial. Property is zoned CR, regional commercial. This is considered drive-through facility large scale because they're proposing 2 drive-through lanes. And in this, just in the CR district, the Regional Commercial District, you need a conditional use permit to operate in that manner. This is a picture of where the site is going to be. It's just gonna be on the right side there. Here you can see what they're proposing. They're proposing to be open from 6 to 9, 7 days a week. We did get that fixed in their application. On the bottom right side, you can kind of see what type of facility they're looking for. That was included in their application. There are a couple of minor concerns with some circulation and with the relocation of a light pole that needs to be done on this site. Those will be handled through the building permit process or the site plan review process, depending on the exact way that they go about constructing this. We are recommending approval. There's no indoor seating, use lines will be off in 2030, and will be tied to the site plan subject to any revisions that need to be made during that process. Any questions?
Thank you.
Hello, Commissioners. This application is Soul Food Vegan Events. They're applying for a conditional use permit at 1200 East Little Creek Road. The site is located on the northeast corner of Pythian Avenue and East Little Creek Road. The proposal is to allow the operation of a flea market, both indoor and outdoor, and a banquet hall facility. The proposed use is consistent with Plan Norfolk 2030, which designates the site as commercial. The site is zoned CC, Community Commercial. The applicant proposes to operate a flea market, indoor and outdoor, and a banquet hall with no live entertainment or alcohol beverages on premise. A conditional use permit is required to operate a flea market, indoor and outdoor, and a banquet hall in the CC district. This is the proposed floor plan for the banquet hall, with a total capacity of 42. This is the parking plan for the proposed use. Banquet halls in the suburban character district requires 1 off-street parking space for every 150 square feet of enclosed building area, and a flea market in the suburban character district requires 1 parking space for 25 feet of building. The banquet hall is required to have 10.5 spaces, and the flea market is required to have 16 spaces. Therefore, that's a total of 16 spaces. They currently have 31 parking spaces on site, and will be properly identified. There is additional parking located on the adjacent lot, which is Manhattan Beauty. They're providing 20 additional parking spaces during the flea market, the outdoor flea market. Proposed hours of operation for the flea market is 9 a.m. until 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. on Sundays. Proposed hours for the banquet hall is 9 a.m. until 11 p.m. 7 days a week, with a total capacity of 42. Staff does recommend approval. The use aligns with Plan Norfolk 2030. There's no alcohol beverages on premise or live entertainment is being proposed as a part of the banquet hall. I did receive originally an email of concern from the Civic League. I then this week received a email of opposition from the Civic League, and it's due to parking. They're concerned about the parking down Pythian Street in the neighborhood.
Do you know if they're here today or if they plan to attend? Do you know if they're here today?
They did say they did send in a letter.
So the outdoor flea market is just that right side there?
Where it says side parking vendor area, that's where the vendor tables are gonna be located. She did say she only has 5. And then the additional parking is just for the customers.
Vendors, customers,
And she did say that the vendors are actually gonna park at the Manhattan where the 20 additional spaces are, even though they don't need all 20 spaces for the vendor parking.
Can you go back to the hours, please?
It's interesting that Sunday is earlier. Happened to
For the
be
flea
lost.
market, yeah.
Did the
applicant give you an idea of, when they operated as a banquet hall, types of events that?
She stated baby showers, she does vegan food, so she did say that mainly, I guess when they're doing like showing how to vegan recipes is what she told me.
Illustrations and
Exactly.
recipes and things, okay, okay.
The capacity, is that just for the banquet hall, or
That's for the banquet hall and the flea market indoor.
is there limits on capacity when you include the outdoor space for like the flea market? I assume it could be indoor, outdoor at the same time, right, as far as flea market goes?
Yes.
So that capacity could be pretty.
So the capacity indoor would be 42, the outdoor, we don't really have capacity on the exterior.
Okay.
Did she provide any feedback for with outdoor, if it's an outdoor flea market? I guess it's at that side to the right here?
Correct.
That doesn't impact the parking?
No.
Do we have other examples of flea markets and how much parking they need? Is there a standard?
It just says, there is one off-street parking space per 25 feet of the square footage of the building.
I just wondered, if there was something that would make us feel more comfortable that there wouldn't be overflow parking into Pythian Avenue.
And you said the minimum number, is that 15?
So minimum parking, she's required to have 10.5 for the banquet hall and then 6 for her flea market indoor. And she has 31 on site.
And that doesn't include the 20.
Correct. Correct. Okay. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commission. This is Rifle Farms Market and Co-op. This is a conditional use permit for
4301 Pleasant Avenue. Location south side of Pleasant Avenue, west of 23rd Bay Street. This is in the East Beach neighborhood. Existing conditions are commercial, and the proposal to allow an existing retail goods establishment to sell alcoholic beverages for off-premise consumption. Proposed use is consistent with Plan Number 2030, designates as a residential mixed. Zoning is PDMU East Beach, the East Beach Plan Development Mixed Use District. In this district, a CUP is required for the sale of alcoholic beverages off-premise. Here's a picture of the site. Rifle Farms is kind of a specialty grocery, sells items such as bison products, cheeses, coffee, kombucha, and desserts. It's been open since November of 2024. For experience, the applicant owns a similar retail store in West Virginia that sells beer and cider. And since this is a retail goods establishment, a food purchase will not be required for alcohol sales. Minimum purchase for beer will be 4 packs and 375 milliliters for bottles of wine. Here's a picture of the floor plan. Okay. All right. Hours of operation and for the sale of alcoholic beverages off premise, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Sunday. And staff recommends approval, subject to conditions in the staff report. And the East Ocean View Civic League voted not to oppose the application. Is everything okay?
She's laughing at the site plan, the floor plan.
Oh, wow.
It's show, it's, no, no.
Sorry.
It's showing the wheelchair accessibility.
I'm sorry, I thought it was.
That's where's the dream.
I didn't catch that.
Well, obviously I caught it wrong.
Any questions?
No, thank you.
All right, next one as well.
This is the Tin Top Market, applying for a conditional use permit at 5115 Collie Avenue. This is the southwest corner of Collie Avenue and 52nd Street. This is in the Highland Park neighborhood. Existing conditions are commercial, and proposals to allow a retail goods establishment to sell alcoholic beverages for off-premise consumption. The proposed use is consistent with plan for 2030, designates the site as commercial. Zoning is CC. In this district, a CUP is required for the sale of alcoholic beverages off-premise. Here's a picture of the site. This was previously the Norfolk Wood Shop on Colley Avenue. Applicant plans to have a market-style to-go establishment with pre-made salads, sandwiches, soups, and ready-to-eat dinners. The applicant also owns the Ten Top in Ghent, and they obtained a CUP for the sale of alcohol on and off-premise earlier this year. And again, since it's a retail good establishment, food purchase will not be required. Beer will be minimum 4 packs, and then wine 375 milliliters. Here's a picture of the floor plan. And for the hours of operation, it'll be 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Sunday. Staff recommends approval, subject to the conditions in the staff report, and the Highland Park Civic League voted to support the application. Questions?
Our next application is Lupita Mexican and Latin American Restaurant. They're applying for a conditional use permit at 9610 First View Street. The site is located on the southeast corner of First View Street and A Avenue. The proposal is to allow a restaurant to sell alcohol beverages for on-premise consumption. The proposed use is consistent with Plan Norfolk 2030, which designates the site as commercial. The site is zoned CN, Neighborhood Commercial, and 60 DNL. The site is located within a low-impact noise zone, and the proposed use is compatible within that zone. The applicant is proposing to operate a restaurant with the sale of ABC on-premise consumption. This is the proposed site. An eating establishment has been in operation at its facility since 2009. The applicant began operating in April of 2024 and is now proposing to operate a restaurant with the sale of alcohol beverages on premise. There is no increase in occupancy or building floor plan area is being proposed. Hours of operation and the sale of ABC on premise, 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. until 10 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. on Sunday, with a total capacity of 49. Staff does recommend approval. The use aligns with Plan Norfolk 2030. The hours of operation are limited. The applicant has operated at this facility since 2024 without any issues. And I did reach out to the Business Association. I have not received any response from them nor the Civic League.
Any questions?
Alright, our next applicant is at 6239 Edward Street. This applicant's requesting a conditional use permit to operate a vacation rental in a 3-bedroom, single-family home on the west side of Edward Street between Strand Street and Geneva Way in the Shadywood East neighborhood. Short-term rental does not conflict with Plan Norfolk 2030, which designates the property as single-family traditional. Property is zoned SF10. In this zone, all vacation rentals need a CUP to operate. Here's the site for the proposed short-term rental. This home was built in 1950. It's been owned by the current owner since May of 2000. The applicant will be adding foundation screening shrubs to the front of the house. The applicant's property manager will be listed as the contact on the sign. He does live in Williamsburg, but he will contact the applicant's neighbor, who is a relative of the applicant, for any issues that need in-person response. For the neighborhood analysis, within 500 feet, approximately 51% of all residential parcels and 28% of all residential units are single-family. All-inclusive, if this application is approved, approximately 1.25% of residential parcels and 0.7% of residential units in 500 feet would be short-term rentals. There is another property on your agenda 3 doors to the south that is not included in those numbers. And staff is recommending approval, subject to the conditions in the staff report, including the foundation screening, and it would expire in 2 years.
They've owned this home since May of
2000.
So did they live there or was it a long-term rental?
I believe they, I'm not sure, I don't believe that they lived there, they may have inherited it. It's been a long long-term rental for quite some time. I'm not sure what time, when that.
Any other questions?
Does the owner or the property manager stay in Williamsburg?
The property manager, the owner is in Connecticut, the property manager is in Williamsburg, and then the applicant's relative lives next door to the property.
We don't know her experience with dealing with short-term rentals.
They've been operating under this since as long as it's been a long-term rental.
Any other questions? Thank you.
This condition is current for Gemma Tatum at 429 Fauquier Street. This is in the Berkeley neighborhood. Location, northwest corner of Fauquier Street and Poplar Avenue. Existing conditions are single-family residential, and proposals to allow the operation of a single-family home as a short-term rental unit. Proposed use is consistent with Plan O for 2030, designates this as a single-family urban. Zoning is SFT, single-family traditional. In this district, a CUP is required for all vacation rentals regardless of bedroom count. Here's a picture of the site. For property management, the applicant has given the name of an individual who will manage the property and act as the emergency contact person. This individual has 10 years' experience in managing short-term rentals in Virginia Beach. For improvements, we'll be recommending improvements to the HVAC elevation and installation of flood vents. For violations, there was one in April of 2025 for operating a short-term rental without a permit. And then 4 violations from May to August of 2022 for tall weeds and grass. And to answer a previous question from mid-month, the applicant has lived in the property until very recently, since purchase in 2021. Correct. I think the past few months she's been elsewhere, but the majority of that time was spent in the residence. For the neighborhood analysis, within 500 feet, 63% of residential parcels are single-family and 82% of residential units are single-family. If approved, 1% of residential parcels and 1% of residential units within 500 feet would be short-term rentals. And staff recommends approval, subject to conditions in the staff report, including the flood improvements and a 2-year expiration. The Berkeley Beacon Light Civic League does not support this application. Reasons include possible adverse effects to the community, including environmental impacts, noise safety, and community goals. They also claim issues with a nearby by right short-term rental.
There's a nearby by right?
Yeah, there's 2 by right short-term rentals in the neighborhood.
But not within that radius that you showed us.
It's outside the 500 feet. It should be in the mile. Are they showing up?
I see.
2.
Questions?
Did you say one of the reasons was issues with those other 2?
So that's what they claim. They claim that issues one of them. I did check the other property I think they're talking about. They didn't give the street name that jived with the other one I think of, but they had 2 violations. I believe one was for unauthorized short term. It's written down. I can
Okay.
take it later.
Thank you.
They did have 1 or 2 violations. The other ones.
And then that teensy tiny dot, trying to place it, that looks like that's,
This one right there.
yeah,
Violation.
That would be a violation.
that's a violation.
I'm pretty sure the one that was mentioned by the Civic League is that.
Was that one right there? And that's on Bellamy? I think so.
It doesn't say that street.
It doesn't, okay.
Across
That looks like Bellamy.
Across from Stafford,
That makes
north
sense.
south of Stafford.
Interesting, okay. Any questions, other questions about this?
You said that the neighborhood goals is not consistent. Does anybody know what those goals are or what they're doing to?
Did they specify a particular goal?
They didn't specify the goals. I would presume it's homeownership, they want to get homeownership rates up in the neighborhood. They did not specify.
You don't know if they're gonna be here today, do you?
I do not.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alright.
Now we're back to Edward Street for 6227 Edward Street. This applicant is requesting a CUP to operate a vacation rental 3-bedroom single-family home on the west side of Edward Street between Strand Street and Geneva Way in the Shadywood East neighborhood. does not conflict with Plan 2030, designated single family traditional, is zoned SF10. All vacation rentals in the district needs to operate. Here's the site for the proposed short-term rental. This home was built in 1945. It's been owned by the current owner since May of 2024. The applicant will be adding foundation screening shrubs and a front yard tree. The applicant operates a property management company and will be managing the property with his own company. I will note that this applicant was denied by council in February, but they did not indicate a reason for the denial. Since they did not indicate the reason, we don't know. But since that denial, the applicant has gained signatures from some of his close neighbors indicating their support of the application. And we've received no opposition to either of the Edward Street properties. There is no active civic league for this one, so both of them hosted their own neighborhood meetings.
So they had a neighborhood meeting and got signatures.
Yes.
Do you know what happened at the neighborhood meeting? Did people show?
For this property, I don't believe anybody showed up. The other property, I believe they had 3 neighbors show up. This one did not, but he went door to door and talked to people. And there's a petition style sheet that he submitted that's included in the packet that's got signatures of, I think, 5 properties that are within 300 feet.
And just a reminder, a neighborhood meeting is, we provide the applicant with a mailing list of all property owners within 300 feet. They're required to mail, and we give them a template, what they have to say. They have to mail it out. The meeting has to be 10 days later. It has to be at night. They're supposed to record who came, what happened, and they're also required to post the property.
Did that meeting not happen the last time?
No, it did, right?
Yeah, it happened both times.
No one came to either one of them.
Correct.
So quick question, the mayor and council rejected it, I thought it was January, but February? And
February, it came through us in January, February to council.
Gotcha, and then the 5 neighbors that wrote letters of response, were they after the February meeting? Or
Yes, that was as part of his current application, trying to better this application from last time.
And this operator has experience with operating short-term.
Yes, I know that he has, I think, at least 5 other CUPs properties.
Last year.
What'd you say?
We approved 2 of them last year.
Has there been any violations, calls for service at the other
He
locations?
typically operates them without any problem.
I hope you cited the car that parked on the grass.
Go back, send me the picture. Which, over there.
I think he had just mowed it. He had just mowed it. It was a little tall, and when he mowed it, and
I
it
was talking about
rained.
him parking on the grass.
The neighbor.
Neighbor.
that
Oh,
parked
the
on
neighbor.
grass.
All right. So for this neighborhood analysis within 500 feet, it's similar to the other one. 52% of parcels, 8% of residential units are single family. If included, 1.6% of residential parcels and 0.25% of residential units in 500 feet would be short-term rentals. As before, that other property is not included. And then we're recommending approval, subject to those conditions.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So what we have here is an application for a right-of-way vacation of an unnamed 20-foot wide lane to the rear of 731 Monticello Avenue. Said that right? Yes, thank you.
The wrong way, sorry.
Not native to Norfolk. Okay, so it is currently a public lane that leads to a private parking area. And the proposal, as I said, is to vacate it. It's it's zoned DAD, Downtown Arts and Design. It is in the Coastal Resilience Overlay. And this is part of a larger purchase agreement proposed for for the site to redevelopment for multifamily. There are currently no utility objections. Last time I presented this, I forgot that it has been a very, very, very long time since we've done a right-of-way vacation, so I probably should give you a little bit of background information. These applications, before they come to you, are required to provide title work, appraisal work, a survey, and then we do a complete review from the area utilities to see if they have any objections or comments. And then that entire package is presented to the city's attorney's office, who then reviews it and approves it before it comes to you. And here we have the image of the segment. As you can see, it's pretty small. It's less than an acre. Are there any questions at this time? Okay, thank you.
Next up under new business is St. Vincent de Paul House LLC for development certificate at a bunch of addresses. It's bounded by DePaul House, by Kingsley Lane, Granby Street, Newport Avenue, and Painter Street, and they're proposing a development certificate for their campus facility here. It's consistent with Plan Norfolk 2030, which designates the site as institutional. Property is zoned conditional INC, institutional campus. Any new development in this district requires a development certificate for approval. I'm now going to turn it over to the ARB folks to go over some of the design items.
So as we said at the mid-month, this did come to the ARB on June 9th. They also returned on June 23rd as the ARB had requested some revisions to the combined gym, auditorium, cafeteria building. So just as a reminder, this is the site layout. So just to note while we're on the slide, 4 learning houses are shown along that bottom part of the site. 2 are planned with the first phase of construction. The other 2 will come at a later time. This is the landscaping plan that will shield the interior service area from Blessed Sacrament Church across the street. Again, the context photos, the historical context that the applicant used to as primary inspiration for their design. And these are the revised renderings, which the ARB did vote to recommend to you all. So on the left, you'll note the color of the clear story part of the gym, so that upper gable area has been changed to a gray, which helps it recede into the background, and some other changes were made to that front false portico area to make it kind of pop out a little bit more. So again, these are some other revised renderings. The site itself, again, to get an idea of the overall campus. The chapel that will be reconstructed, as the original could not be saved due to how it is connected to the existing hospital, the material palette, and ARB's recommendation. So again, on the 9th, they recommended approval to you all with the conditions that signage return, and that those 3 bullet points there, the reevaluations, were all in relation to that gym, auditorium, cafeteria building, which were resolved with those revisions that were recommended for approval on June 23rd. Do you all have any questions? All right.
I promised you these review standards. In the ordinance, it says that a development certificate shall be approved if the planning commission finds that the proposed development is consistent with the purposes of the zoning district, consistent with the character of the surrounding development, and consistent with the conditions listed below. The proposed development is compatible with the surrounding land uses. The proposed development is consistent with the comprehensive plan. The uses proposed are allowed in the Basin Overlay District where development is located. Any waivers requested for the development certificate do not exceed the limits established for the applicable zoning district. Any waiver requested is the absolute minimum necessary to accommodate the development proposal, and the proposed development complies with all applicable proffers and conditions applicable to the land. The proposed development is compatible with all those review standards, and the development does not require any waivers. So staff is recommending approval. Are there any questions? Yeah.
Yeah, they met with multiple civic leagues.
Yeah.
On this one. Yeah.
Everybody's
Yes.
copacetic.
Yeah, they've been going to the Civic League since they proposed the
Yeah.
development, for the initial rezoning.
Right.
Okay, so another unusual application type that we, I talked to you about this last, a couple weeks ago, but subdivision variance, something we don't see very often, but the planning commission has the final say on it. In this case, at 5415 Studley Avenue, this is a piece of property that was, developed and split off prior to the current subdivision ordinance requirements. It was split off and then developed with a single-family dwelling that has since been replaced. But you see the lot does not have any frontage on any street. It is accessed via easement through the properties in front to get up to the actual section of Studley Avenue. The lot, there we go. So the lot does meet the standard requirements in terms of width and area. It just doesn't have any frontage, but it is reflecting an existing condition, and access is provided by the easement. You can see here the close-up of it, and so you can see how they share. It's between the two lots adjacent to each other, 3A and 4B. They access through the other part of Lot 3 and 4A to get out to Studley Avenue. The surveyor, I believe, representative is going to be here today in case there are any issues, but staff doesn't see any issues with this and does recommend approval. I do, since Dr. Wilby, you asked me the question about the earlier amendment, the text amendment. I did some quick looking. I can't find, of the 4 other Southside communities, I cannot find any reference to a separate use for motorcycle or any separate treatment for those versus any other types of vehicles. Virginia Beach and Chesapeake do have lot size minimums. Virginia Beach is 20,000 and it goes up to 40,000 if you're a combined site. In Chesapeake, they're at 12,000, nobody else does. But it doesn't appear that any of those other communities are regulating motorcycles differently. So I think we're kind of stepping a little out on this one.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We do have one additional item that we're requesting for you to take a look at. We have received a request from the Ghent Business Association to initiate a text amendment to the PCO's 21st Street and Colley Avenue to allow for restaurants with the sale of alcoholic beverages to be permitted by right as long as they close by 11 p.m. As you know, right now, the ordinance requires anyone operating after 5 p.m. and any district requires them to obtain a conditional use permit. So their request is in those 2 specific areas to change it to 11 p.m. Where they could do it by right. We understand that there's a lot of legwork in front of us and public outreach that need to be done. This initiation just allows us to move forward with that work.
And maybe you said this is strictly no entertainment.
Yes, no, I'm sorry, no entertainment, there's no entertainment proposed. This only covers restaurants and their on-premise sale of alcoholic beverages.
Is it up to 11 p.m.?
Yes, to 11 p.m.
7 days a week.
Yes. The initiation will just allow us to start doing the research and going out to the public to discuss the issue. We understand after significant issues before when it was pulled back from a by right use to conditional use permit again across the city, there is still some concern. So we do know we'll need to do some legwork and also lean on the Ghent Business Association to do some legwork as well, since this is their request.
But when it was pulled back, that included entertainment, or was no entertainment was part of that as well?
All locations that sold alcoholic beverages for on-premise consumption were pulled back to conditional use permits. When that ordinance was changed, that was, how long ago was that, Adam? I guess 4 years ago at this point, 5 years?
It's probably not 5 that it was pulled back. About 4 years ago. Can I ask a question? Would it be part of the work upon initiation, or would you already have a sense of approximately how many restaurants without alcohol, without entertainment, have been required to go through the process in the past 3 or 4 years in these two overlays that would have been relieved of that requirement if this change were made to the zoning ordinance.
We do not have that information yet. We did, again, we didn't wanna start doing work without the permission of the commission.
You said it was pulled back 4 years ago or something?
So I think it was in 22 that so remember in 2018, if you weren't having entertainment and you weren't open beyond 11 o'clock, everyone else in the city, 12 o'clock downtown, you didn't need a conditional use permit. Then in 2022, we went back to everyone has to get a conditional use permit if you have alcohol. And then in 2023, we had made this proposal that if you're open till 11, not having entertainment, you wouldn't require a conditional use permit. However, this body, I think, and then council said, no, not 11, 5 o'clock.
For years.
We haven't,
Any other questions?
Susan's the official historian.
At least swinging it back to the middle of the pendulum. I guess on the entertainment front, Bobby, did we, I know there were discussions of, do we need to separate the different types of, I think the main concerns were DJs and live entertainment versus poetry reading. How are those discussions moving along?
I will be honest, after our discussion with the chair and vice chair yesterday, there's a lot on the work program and we haven't gotten to that yet. Usually they already have to come in for another conditional use permit, and we haven't kind of figured out the construct for that yet. But it is on the radar, we just unfortunately we need to clear some things off the plate first.
Thank you.
I think those are all the questions. Thank you.
We're gonna vote to initiate that.
Yes, that would be a request for initiation.
We don't have anything listed as a discussion. Let's go into director's comments, council action.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The council met on Tuesday and approved a number of items that the commission had recommended approval on and denied one item as well. If you remember, there was some text amendments that came out of the retreat of the Planning Commission last year, which included artisanal production and electric vehicle charging station. It also did include tattoos. The tattoo portion at the request of council was removed from this request, so council approved the text amendments that we discussed about electric vehicle charging stations as well as adding artisanal production across the commercial uses. The application for Dennis Woodbury, if you remember, the townhouse style multifamily development on Johnston's Road was approved by council, as well as a number of short-term rentals that the commission recommended approval on, as an Insomnia Cookie, which is opening this week. They did a post, I've done so. Anybody's downtown at 3 a.m, I'm sure Rob will be there too. Rip Rap Brewing as well. 1619 Lafayette Boulevard, that was continued from, I think it was a month ago from the city council in order to get feedback from the Civic League. Council did approve it this time around. The applicant did meet with the Civic League and obtain a letter. And then the one that was denied by council was 810 West Ocean View Avenue. That is the one that had 12 units in the front and the 2 units in the back, and they were only requesting the 2 units. Council did deny it. There were some concerns, and I want to just allow for the commission to be aware about another platform that's being utilized for short-term rentals. I think it's Marriott at this point. And there were some concerns about shuffling of people and moving them around. The applicant's representative there provided to the team their rent rolls and the listings and how they operate using it for 30-day stays and longer. But of course, there are concerns because it isn't. There are longer term leases, but they are not long-term rental leases, if that makes sense. So it's for a lot of their space there is rented to construction workers and those that are visiting and doing trainings with the military. I think it was where are they from? They were Saudi Arabia, is that the group?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they were doing trainings in the area, so there is some rotation, but there are rentals that meet the requirement for that are not considered short-term rentals, I'd say. And then also the short-term rental for 35th Street was also approved, the one where there was concern and opposition, if you remember from the Planning Commission public hearing.
So what was the concern about the 810 West?
That-
Disapproved it?
The Willoughby Civic League voted twice in opposition, so when we first received it, and then they went back to the Willoughby Civic League, they also opposed the application. And so there were just concerns about the parking maneuvering, as we know, it was a tight site, as well as concerns of operations, so. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions? Any other questions?
Did you vote on the one sheeter for the EDUs that you all provided them?
Yes, for the commission's information, we provided to the Civic League Student Neighborhood Services a kind of one pager and a request if they had any questions to let us know so that we could come meet with them that describe the accessory dwelling units. You need to put that in your Dropbox. We briefed you multiple times about those, but we want to make sure that you have the same information. So we'll
already did.
Sure, already put it in there. Good. And so that's well received. We are kind of going on the road a little bit. I think there've been a couple, well, at least one Civic League that has asked us to make a presentation and a few questions. The feedback that we're getting at this moment has been very minimal. I think there's like one person that had some concerns and others that were supportive of that for the most part.
We're getting more people who are calling us saying, I heard that we're allowed to do this now, can I apply? Yeah. The other way around.
So
And you what?
We're getting more people who are interested in applying for ADUs on smaller sizes than anything, thinking that it's already been approved and they're ready to apply. We've gotten, I think, a couple of people who are concerned, nobody who's outright opposed so far.
And the status of it now is what?
So right now, it was continued generally by council to allow for this additional public outreach. We have put on there requesting any comments until July 13th. I think that was the date we selected, it was a Friday. Then hopefully, if there are no concerns, we'll bring it back to council, present the information that we've received from the public, and hopefully get requested to be back on an agenda if the council chooses to. So, but we'll continue to work that, and we'll keep the commission up to speed on where we end up. Probably end up providing you any of the comments that we receive once we finish up the process. Yes.
So when do you think it might take in effect? September, October?
I have to get it back on an agenda for city council, so I can't, because it's continued generally. So we'll have to see what council's further concerns are, and then if we get the green light to put it back on agenda, then I'll have a better sense.
Bobby, if you want me to spitball, it won't be before October because they'll be presenting it first meeting in September, be doing a planning update, right? That would be the earliest you could go back to council.
Correct.
And then if they wanted, it could be the second meeting, the next meeting, you would miss the deadline, so it's probably October.
That's true.
That would be my guess.
At the earliest, because council goes on recess in August, so I couldn't get it back in front of them until, thank you, Paul. But again, it's to the choice of the council to bring it back on an agenda as well, so I have to make sure the council's comfortable.
Thank you. Comments from commissioners?
From the ARP meeting this past Monday, wasn't up for proposed this discussion, was the Sycamore Plaza project off of Wilson Road. Apparently there have been several design changes that are happening, so they have to get back in front of the community to represent that, so I'm assuming that'll be coming in front of us. I'm not sure when, it was just open discussion over just one of the 4 buildings that was part of the original plan.
Glad it's moving forward.
Yeah. Those ashes.
if I can, Madam Chair. When we finally received that information, we also determined that they do need to get an amendment to their conditional use permit, because there are alterations that don't align with the current approval. So it will come back before the commission and council for review, so.
I don't think the design itself is part of the CP. I think much of the layout and some of the other features of the site were, so if it's coming back, it's coming back because there's been an adjustment to the site.
Some of the uses as well. So one of the buildings was required by a condition to have commercial uses, and they're removing the commercial uses from the site. So there are a couple other things. They're relocating a playground. That's not as big of a deal, but there are a couple other things that, and again, we haven't deep dived it yet because they just submitted for discussion through that process. They didn't really come in and talk to us in depth about it, and so we're gonna. I believe Susan and her team have been already kind of taking a look at it to give them direction.
And they will have to go to ARB, so.
The ARB's already, it was kind of a side discussion, but there were some concerns about the change in material that they're using, as well as the reduction of the amenities from the commercial use. It was, 4 buildings, now it's gonna be down to two? Yeah. Between that, there's supposed to be an increase in the number of residential units, and I guess one building's going from 3 stories to 4 stories. Yeah, so then that was a big concern of the other buildings, nothing's more than 2 stories high in that particular area. So a lot more follow-up needed, but just wanted to put that in everybody's radar.
I wanted to give everyone a heads up. Our mid-month meeting next month is probably gonna be a little long. Between the field trip and, we have got quite a few presentations. So I just wanted to make sure that I just alerted everyone to that.
Just as a preview to that, the parking discussion that we've been putting off for a little while because of all the significant workload we have, we will bring that back forward, as well as the discussion about transparency and fenestration, kind of window signage type things. A little bit of a deep dive to explain the zoning requirements of that. There's a little nuance to it, which we kind of have to walk everybody through. So, and then the Southside Hazard Mitigation Plan, but that should be pretty quick.
Couple questions. So the Little Creek assessment that was done recently, and I think there's another one that's planned for somewhere downtown, starting Park Place or maybe.
There's one that had a kickoff meeting this month at for a 5 Points corridor.
Okay, yeah. Will those eventually come through?
So they're less plans as much as they are informative documents for economic development to guide who obtains grants. I will say that I've made a request to get public input through the 5 Points portion to discuss the land uses and development patterns in 5 Points to see if there's something we need to do zoning wise to improve that, but not necessarily any planning changes to that. So again, a lot of it is visualizations to try to have people improve their properties in easy ways. Like if you're gonna develop something, maybe you should put it here, this is easier, and then maybe you can get a grant for that. And so, but it's not a technical term, sorry, it's not as planning as a area plan is. So
the other question was related to the large renovation that's gonna happen at the Norfolk Airport. I know that that's city property, it's through different Norfolk Airport Authority that's governed by the city council. Will that project come through here as far as planned?
we have been working to have them come in to present. The ordinance does require them to get their master plan updated by council. We just can't get our schedules to align with them. That was actually supposed to be on this past mid-month's agenda. We will reach back out to the airport authority to try to get them on.
I mean, he's presenting at different locations, so it's interesting we haven't seen him yet, so.
We have tried. We have tried to get him.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the commissioners? Questions, answers? No? All right. Well, I think that's all I have, so I guess we're adjourned and see you down upstairs.